Now let's get to our top story this Thursday. Breaking out of the district, multiple people shot early this morning on Connecticut Avenue Northwest.
Prior to 2020, nothing ever happened up there. That's what you call west of 16th Street. So the city is divided, it's very segregated historically. I've seen so many stories of shootings up there, Connecticut Avenue, Cleveland Park. I mean, just stuff that it never happened up there, ever. And if you go there during the day or even at night, you'll see that stuff never happened up there. You see this stuff now all on that side. Van Ness, Friendship Heights. You see it all over there. But it never happened. Never. Not sometimes, occasionally. Never before 2020. And the demographic hasn't changed in those neighborhoods. That's the thing about it. The demographics are the same. Sunmen are everywhere. They've branched out.
To our top story this Thursday. Breaking out of the district, multiple people shot early this morning on Connecticut Avenue Northwest.
Fox 5's Bob Barnett is live on the scene and joins us with what we are learning from police. And Bob, there have been some recent updates.
Yeah, a little confusion here whether someone has actually been killed or not. We do believe, according to police, 5 people have been shot. This is the days in here on Connecticut Avenue, 4400 Connecticut Avenue. You see police are still here, obviously. This happened around 3 o'clock. The commander for 2D here tells us there was a party going on and that shots were fired. 5 people have been wounded. Earlier, police told us one person, a woman, was found dead in one of the rooms here. The commander is telling us that person is actually in extremely critical condition.
Of course, a sister got shot. Of course. It wouldn't be the stand. It wouldn't be a shooting if sisters didn't get hit. And frankly, they asked for this with their activism, because the guy who did this is probably out on bond, well, in D.C. on personal recognizance. Probably a career criminal, should have been under somebody's prison.
Earlier, police told us one person, a woman, was found dead in one of the rooms here. The commander is telling us that person is actually in extremely critical condition. We were told earlier that 4 women had been shot. Now the commander is saying there is a man involved, at least one of the victims, the shooting victims now totaling 5 is a man. He says they're all at the hospital. Some took themselves there. Others were transported. And again, this was during some kind of party here. What this was all about or whether there are any other people involved, they're not telling us. They don't have any kind of lookout for any potential suspects other than the 5 who were involved, and all have been shot. Spoke earlier this morning with a baker at Bread First nearby, Justin Johnson, who came to work and saw all the commotion here.
So around 3:20, we just saw first an ambulance came, and then about, I don't know, 5 or 6 cops showed up, and then the whole precinct came, and then so we don't know what exactly happened. But I came out here and looked, and we just saw it getting taped off, and one of my other coworkers came down on a bike because she rides into work, and she saw a body coming out on the gurney, and, that's all we know.
Let me translate this for you. The 5 people that were shot, those who are lucid and conscious, are not cooperating. So the police have nothing to go on, and the news station has nothing to go on. So the best they could do to give you something from the scene was to ask a guy who works at an area bread shop what he saw when he got to work that morning. Because people aren't cooperating. They're not going to tell who shot them, and that's their business. If you don't want to cooperate and tell who shot you, fine. You got shot. You the one that got shot. You don't want to say what happened? Fine.
Body coming out on the gurney, and, that's all we know.
Now, Because this investigation is ongoing, Connecticut Avenue between Albemarle Street and Wyndham Place is closed right now. So traffic heading southbound, northbound diverted around this particular block. We spoke to a gentleman who lives here across the street from the Days Inn. He says that for a time it's been used as a halfway house, a homeless shelter. Early on during the pandemic, the overflow from some of the hospitals, some patients were put into this hotel and, as a kind of a quarantine location for some folks.
See, he's telling you a lot without telling you. That's why he's stuttering, because he knows that people know what he means when he says this. It's been used as a halfway house. Well, in any democratically run city, that means there's a whole lot of sun men and a whole lot of sun women in there. A homeless shelter, same thing. Overflow from the hospital, same thing. This hotel got a lot of sun men in it, Jack. So and think about the people who live in that area, who are used to peace and just normalcy, like no one ever getting shot. Maybe some people get mugged every now and then, knockout gamed or whatever, but no shootings. Now you just got like 100, 200 sunmen just in your neighborhood. Boom. And they're milling around. They're outside all the time. Because you know how outside all the time. Just you used to walk your dog and you, oh God, whoa. You bend the corner, oh. You go to your favorite store. They're just standing there, mouth open, looking at you like you got 3 eyes and 17 ears. You got a couple dollars? Asking for money and whatnot. Big able-bodied dudes. Look like they could run a marathon, and dudes look like they could play in the NBA tomorrow. Big able-bodied dudes, man. Look like they could start in the NFC Championship game. Big able-bodied, just out there, just milling around, hanging around. So, yeah.
We spoke to a gentleman who lives here across the street from the Days Inn. He says that for a time it's been used as a halfway house, a homeless shelter. Early on during the pandemic, the overflow from some of the hospitals, some patients were put into this hotel and, as a kind of a quarantine location for some folks. The police commander says there have been drug issues involved with this hotel over time. Not sure what, if any, of all of that has to do with the shooting overnight. But again, we were told one person was killed, guys. Apparently that woman is still alive at this hour. At least that's what they're officially telling us this morning.
All right, Bob, I know you're going to stay on top of the story and get us more details throughout the morning. Now, where we've just got new information about a deadly shooting in Northwest. It happened at the Days Inn on Connecticut Avenue at around 3 o'clock this morning. You're looking at video from that scene shortly after this all unfolded. Sadly, a woman was killed, 4 others were injured. They are still in the hospital tonight, and we're still working to get an update on their condition.
And neighbors say this hotel has been a problem spot for a while now. They talk with community and law enforcement leaders to see what can be done about it. Matthew Torres was there. And Matthew, what are you hearing?
Well, Charlotte, we are learning as a result of this shooting, they are going to be increasing police presence in this area. We're also learning that this property here at Days Inn is actually up for sale, according to real estate company CBRE, but that is a goal completely still down the road. For now, residents say they want their safety issues addressed and their concerns over the increase in violent crime in this area and Ward 3 as a whole.
Man, I'm telling you, don't feel sorry for these people. These were I'm from DC. These gliders who live on this side of town. They are the woke. They're annoyingly woke. they're annoying. They don't think a Sun man can do anything. They don't think, like me, they don't think I have any control or agency over anything. If I was to, just this guy, say I was just to be walking down the street, I was to sucker punch this guy, the first thing they would say was that I need a job. Or we need more jobs in the city. I don't have enough opportunity. They wouldn't even wonder how this guy was doing. They would just instantly start making excuses for me for punching him, sucker punching him while he's doing a news story. And they would tell you how I didn't have enough service and I couldn't, and they don't even know me. But they would instantly start doing, meanwhile, this guy's laying on the ground, writhing in pain. They're annoying. And when it came to protesting and marching, I can't tell you how many times me and my wife were driving around, going somewhere, and you just hit traffic. And then you'd see them marching, and they'd be in the middle of the street, because this was at the height of it, where they were blocking traffic. And they'd have a police escort with them. The police would be escorting them, making sure, they didn't get hit by cars, because people were getting tired of that stuff. And they'd just be yelling all type of epithets and slurs at the police while the police are keeping them safe so they could protest and for St. Floyd. And you got to go somewhere, or you're late for something, and then all of a sudden 100 of them are walking across the side street, and you can't. It looks like it's never ending. It look like ants, like somebody dropped a noun later, and it just a bunch of ants just flowing to the noun later, and you're just sitting there like, God, am I ever going to be able to go? Because it's like they just keep coming and coming. Pigs in a blanket, fry 'em like bacon. No justice, no peace, no racist police. And what do we want? Justice. When do we want that? Like, and all this crap. And it's like 7 Sun people there, and it's like 700 gliders. And it's just, don't feel sorry for these people, man.
Residents say they want their safety issues addressed and their concerns over the increase in violent crime in this area and Ward 3 as a whole. Several residents have gathered with Councilwoman Mary Che, as well as Mayor Merrill Bowser and Chief Robert Conti today, just outside of Days Inn before they walked the neighborhood. At this hotel is where a woman was killed in a shooting inside one of the rooms early this morning, just around 3:30 a.m. 4 other people were also injured after a party took a violent turn, according to investigators. And it appears there was an exchange of gunfire, but the reason why is still unclear. Within the last 2 years, there's been 268 calls to police to Days Inn for a variety of reasons, including drug activity, assault, and disorderly conduct.
If you knew where this was, you gotta be like, wherever city you are, just think about the place where it ain't no Sun people, and there's very little litter on the street. Might see some people running, jogging. Very few people are just hanging outside. Everybody who's outside is going somewhere. Nice cafes, bistros. People walking and talking carefree. You don't even hear horns. People driving and not even honking their horn or yelling out their window at each other. And then, boom, you drop all these Sun people into this hotel. That was karma for these people, man. That was karma. That was the universe's way of saying, oh, yeah? Defund the police? Empty the prisons? Don't prosecute criminals? All right. I got you.
Within the last 2 years, there's been 268 calls to police to Days Inn for a variety of reasons, including drug activity, assault, and disorderly conduct. Neighbors say enough is enough and want more resources in this community.
We will be digging in with the ownership and everything that we can do as a city to find out and make sure that it's operating in the way that it should be operating.
People not only have to be safe, they have to feel safe. And I get the impression that people are not feeling safe these days. So we have to take steps, okay?
Chief Conti says there is no immediate threat to the public. Everyone that's been involved in the shooting has been identified. So far, names are not being released, pending next of kin. We did reach out to the management company of Days Inn. We did not hear back. Reporting live in Northwest tonight, Matthew Torres, WUSA 9.
And there may be no immediate threat to the public, but you can clearly see why neighbors there are concerned. All right, thanks so much, Matthew.
At 6, police confirming a 20-year-old woman from Maryland died after a shooting broke out at a Northwest D.C. hotel. This woman was one of 5 people shot Thursday. Police Chief Robert Conti provided the update today as police continue to investigate a number of shootings here in the district. We want to get right over to Fox 5's Stephanie Ramirez, who joins us live now from Connecticut Avenue. It's been a tough week here in D.C.
Every city says that. Every time they do a news story. It's been a rough week here in New York. It's been a rough week here in Chicago. It's been a rough week here in Gary, Indiana. It's been a rough week here in Louisville. It's been a rough week here in Miami. It's been a rough week here in Atlanta. Every week, every day, they say that. And it's always because of the same group. Always. Always.
It's been a tough week here in D.C.
Absolutely. In this community here, this is the Van Ness neighborhood of Northwest D.C. A neighbor just telling us that she was completely stunned to learn that a woman died at this Days Inn hotel. The neighbor telling us she supports D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser, but she's calling on the mayor to take action.
I have been on the Metro and I have seen, an altercation right in front of me on the Metro. So I know crime is on the rise. I know there's violence in my neighborhood. I do not feel good about it, and I would feel worse if I didn't speak up.
I know y'all expect me to blast this pasty liberal senior woman. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to blast her because this is what you're supposed to do when the crime comes to your community. Why does she have to care about the crime, the epidemic levels of crime that's happening in another group's community? Now it's happening in her community. And it's happening to people that look like her. So now she's speaking out about it. That was very poignant what she said. She said she would feel worse if she didn't speak out about it. Now she supports the system mayor, Muriel Bowser, but she would feel terrible if she didn't say something about the crime that's starting to come to her neighborhood. She's starting to see. Now, she's not going to tell you who's doing it, and I don't blame her for that either. She ain't got long to go. She don't need to spend her last few years being doxxed and called her an ista this or ista that. She's speaking out against the crime. Salute to her. I wish more sisters was like this. Before someone directly related to them were like this woman speaking out and nobody she knows has gotten killed. That's the difference between her and a sister. Sisters speak out after 2 of her sons get shot. But this woman speaking out and nobody close to her has been killed. And she's speaking out against the crime.
I have been on the Metro and I have seen, an altercation right in front of me on the Metro. So I know crime is on the rise. I know there's violence in my neighborhood. I do not feel good about it, and I would feel worse if I didn't speak up.
The 20-year-old woman killed here earlier this week, it was early Thursday, was identified as Dasha Cleary of Waldorf, Maryland. I did speak with her family today. They described her as a beloved member of the community, saying she volunteered a lot and that she did this for most of her life, but things started to change when she turned 18 years old. Now, they tell me they didn't know what was going on here. Her mother did say whatever she was involved in the past 2 years, it's not her.
Okay, so our girl, Miss Dasha Cleary, the last 2 years, she's been involved in some not so good stuff that would lead her to a party in D.C. at a hotel where 5 people got shot and she got killed. My heart goes out to her parents. Look, man, you can't. She's a person. The parents did the best they could for those 18 years. And once she got grown and got on her own, she started hanging around. Started hanging around in sunny areas. And now she's dead. My heart goes out to her parents, man. What could they do? What could they have done? Don't hang around those people. Really? Kids these days dox you. Kids, I promise you, kids these days dox their parents. If their parents... you saw that during the last few years. Kids these days, they're doxing their parents. They're going to say, oh my God, you crazy? You're hanging around those people? We didn't raise you. Like, is she not built for it either? And the dudes just like her because she a glider queen. Wow. R.I.P. Dasha, man.
The 20-year-old woman killed here earlier this week, it was early Thursday, was identified as Dasha Cleary of Waldorf, Maryland. I did speak with her family today. They described her as a beloved member of the community, saying she volunteered a lot and that she did this for most of her life, but things started to change when she turned 18 years old. Now, they tell me they didn't know what was going on here. Her mother did say whatever she was involved in the past 2 years, it's not her. DC police responded to a shooting at the Connecticut Avenue days in at around 3:30 in the morning Thursday. The district's police chief did not announce an arrest today or say what the motive of the shooting was, but police do appear to know who the suspect is that they're looking for. The chief said that those involved knew one another and came from Maryland renting a hotel room in the district. We know 2 other women were seriously injured in this shooting. The community also concerned about activity at this location. Police confirmed that this location received in 2020 and 2021 nearly 280 calls for service. These calls including calls for assault, stabbing, or shooting. That's back to you.